Let's take a closer look at the Funko Pop vinyl figures of Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll from the Disney Plus series Ahsoka.
Varykino, living the Star Wars life.
Hello there, and thanks for visiting the Varykino YouTube channel. I'm very excited to have these two Funko Pop vinyls in my collection. As you can see, this is Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll from the Disney Plus series Ahsoka. I am a massive fan of this show. I am trying to collect up as much as I can. I can't wait for more of this wonderful series. And a real standout for me, I know I already love Ahsoka, but I was really happily surprised with how much I loved Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll. Of course, it is very tragic that the actor portraying Baylan passed away, so I don't know how much of his story we are ever going to find out beyond that series, but nevertheless, I'm very, very happy that he is included in this Funko line because we may not get many more Funko Pop vinyls of this character. And of course, I'm so happy that they came out together. I was able to find both of them. Baylan is proving very popular locally. Of course, people don't want to miss out in case they never make him again. And I like the fact that they are sequential numbers as well, so you can display them together if you like having all your Funkos in numerical order. 687 for Shin Hati, 688 for Baylan Skoll. So before I take them out, I'm very, very eager to see them fully out in person. I'm going to take a closer look at the packaging. So we can kind of see here on both boxes, we have a grey and sort of a dark blue color banner motif here, which is inspired, if I turn this one around, by the star map that is central to the show, which I think is really quite fun there. We can see a little bit of it in the banner here. And the colors are sort of included through the other packaging details. We've got the really fun sort of Funko style imagery of the two characters here on the front. I must note in the art here, the lightsabers look very classical red. In the show, they were a little bit more of an orange tone. It feels like they're trying to distinguish them from the true Sith characters like we know, like Vader, that have very red ones. So I'm curious to see how red the actual plastic of the sabers is going to look once I get them out. On the side, we have some really fun full-length Funko style art of the characters there, each wielding a saber. It's interesting that these versions don't have cloaks. Maybe that is a variant we will see later on. Fingers crossed. On the back, we can see some of the other Funkos from this wave from the Ahsoka series. We can see Grand Admiral Thrawn, Morgan Elsbeth, Thrawn's Night Trooper, two variants there, very distinctly different, so definitely worth picking up both. Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll. Of course, some of the other main characters like Sabine and Ahsoka herself came out in an earlier wave, and it is going to be my mission to try and collect all of them because I love this show. So we can see the windows there, and again, very classic Funko packaging with a little bit of a preview of the character face up the top there. So that's the packaging. Very cool. I think it works really well. I can't wait to put them all together on display. So let's get stuck in and open them up. I'm going to start with Shin Hati first. She is the first number. I'm going to try and open it up very carefully from the underside. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking because I do like to try and keep my Funko boxes you know, as best I can for display purposes. So let's get her out. Oh, there we go. Okay, just going to put the plastic packaging off to one side. I'm going to put that back in the box later. So first off, she looks really cool. I know it's kind of funny that sometimes you really get a sense of the actor and the character, even in this very stylized, simple format. But I think it renders Shin Hati really well. You know, they don't really have much of an expression, but I do particularly like the accents sort of around her eyes here. I think her blonde hair looks really fun. We can see her little Padawan braid there. It's peeking out on the side. We can see her tunic and all the details, the little armor components down her arms and down her sides. And of course, some of it strapped to her legs there as well. First impressions, the paint looks pretty good overall. There's maybe like a tiny little fleck or something on her on her hair. I think it's probably not even really showing up on camera, just sort of catching the light. Really, really minimal. I like the fact that the paint on the face, that's generally my focal point, looks good. All good there. To be fair, the lightsabers do look more orange now in person. I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, and I'll probably do a little bit of a comparison with some of my other Funko figures later, but for now it reads orange enough that I'm happy with that. It's kind of funny that it looks so red on the packaging, because it does look, particularly if I get the light to shine through it, it definitely looks more orange. So I'm happy with that, because I'm not really going to have them displayed next to a Vader or anything. I'm going to have them next to other shows. I just want it to look orange when it's on display on my shelf. Nice tidy silver Star Wars logo there on the base. We've got a little bit of a sort of a glue spillage around her foot there, which is just giving a bit of a white haze there. I might try and see if I can sort of tidy that up a little bit later. You can see there, but I didn't really have an option with these Funkos. Sometimes you find a way if there's multiples of each figure, so you can kind of peer through the plastic and try and pick the one that you think looks the best. These ones have been so popular and hard to find, it was basically grab it when you see one. So I didn't have really the option, and I doubt I would have noticed that through the plastic packaging. But it is not a significant flaw. I've certainly seen worse with Funko, you know, big paint flaws or like a plastic that's been like gouged. So moving on to the back, I like the sculpting of the hair. You know, she has really wavy, almost curly hair in the show. I think this looks really fun. I think that's a great rendition of her hairstyle, and we can see some of the detail of the back of her tunic, including it's not painted, which is perhaps a little unfortunate. They have these sort of little armored buckles running down the backs of their tunics, which is rendered here in the plastic, but it doesn't have any sort of additional paint like silver or anything there. They're not really the same color as the tunic, but again, it's kind of hidden in the shadows, so I'll give them a pass on that one. But most of the other details are painted really nicely. We can see we've got the different colors, straps on the boots, armor down the front, even her little belt buckle is painted silver there. We've even got some, you know, different paint accents for her gauntlet here, like a little compad. All in all, I think she looks great. So I'm just going to tuck the box in the back, and we'll get out her Master Baylan Skoll so we can have them together at last. There we go. Oh, very happy with her. So now let's get stuck into this one. Opening up very carefully as best I can. Let's pull him out. Okay, let's get this plastic out of the way. There we go. Okay, so I can see one tiny paint flaw off the bat, but it's not a deal breaker. And this was something I could see through the box, but like I said with Shin Hati, I didn't have any other options, so it's not too bad. You can just sort of see, and this is somewhat common I think with some of the Funkos, is that when they color the face, it is like slightly misaligned. So you can see you get a little bit of the skin tone on the hair. And so we've got a little bit of skin tone here on his mustache. And it's kind of perhaps a little bit more obvious on this side. And it's not too bad. It's just a little bit of overspill, which is, yeah. Like if I had seen multiples on the shelf, I might have picked one where perhaps that was not quite as noticeable, but who knows, maybe this is very common on this particular sculpt. But either way, no major flaws, no sort of drips or anything like that. He's even got like tiny little creases by his eyes because of course he is older. I think that that's really fun. Now, of course, moving on to some of the other cool details. We've got a little bit of dust up here. I like the fact that we have some shading in his hair, which I couldn't see in the box. He is much whiter on the top than he is down here, which I think is fun, of course. He is an older character. I like that they've kind of added that his hair is graying there. Nice attention to detail there. Now, I am absolutely really struck by the details of his armor here. In particular, we've got some really interesting paint effects and texture on his tunic. He's got a really cool costume in the show. I have to say, I really did like his design. Like Shin Hati, his saber is looking a little bit more orange in this light to my eye, which I like. It might not look that orange if I compare it to like a Darth Vader, but it looks orange enough that I'm happy. I'm really liking the use of gloss and matte finish painting here to distinguish between the different textures of his tunic. He has more armor, some, you know, a bit more added detail compared to his sort of apprentice here. We've got an interesting sort of finish on his gauntlet armor here. He's got some sort of shiny, sort of almost like a gunmetal for his shoulder armor here. I particularly like that. We've even got tiny little buttons here on his wrist details. He's got a ring there on his gloved hand. That's really quite fun. Some gold details here. More gunmetal on his sort of back of hand armor. And I really like the finish of his shoulder armor again here at the back. Now you can really see it here on the back. The texture of his lower tunic is really, it's quite fine detail, which is really quite fun. I sort of like that texture. You can really feel it. And it really distinguishes because, again, with the dark tunics and things like that, it can be hard to really get all of that detail when there's so much sort of fabric. So we can see there's like the split between the front and the back of his tunic where we get a little bit of an under fabric there. And the back tunic is a different texture here. That's all really cool. And of course we can see it there, the different layers of the fabrics hanging down the front, the tabards, the tunic. That's all looking really cool. And then just kind of in behind his saber, you can see that deep V pattern of his chest, which is echoed in Shin Hati's, but I really like how defined it is on Baylan here. Moving down to his boots, a little less detail on his than Shin's. It's mostly black with some sculpted detail and the brown base of the boot. So not as much detail there, but then again, if it's not on the original costume, it's not going to be here. Nice tidy silver Star Wars logo there on the base. No glue residue that I can really see on this one, and the heads look nice and even, which is quite cool. He is a tiny bit taller than Shin. I know you don't get a lot of height variance when it comes to Funkos. They are not really in scale with each other. They're all pretty much the same height. But I like that he is just a little bit taller than her. Of course, he is much taller in the show, but I do like that they've kept a little bit of the scale there. I think these look really cool. I'm really happy. I've got to get the rest of that set. I want the troopers. I loved the troopers in the Ahsoka series. I thought they were so creepy and spooky. I want them all. But I'm so happy to have these ones. These in particular were hard to find locally, so I'm very, very happy. They were such a vital component of the show that I think they were a must for any fan to add to their collection. Oh, they're so great. I'm so happy. You never can quite tell. You can generally get a little bit of a sense of some of the major flaws that show through the plastic, but sometimes there are some things hiding that you can't quite see. But I'm happy. I think they look great. And yeah, no major flaws. Very happy. I think they look so cute. And I think they capture the characters, the costumes, the likenesses really well. I do hope, for the sake of Baylan and the actor's legacy, that perhaps we will get some variants of these ones, perhaps a different pose, perhaps with his cloak on, something like that, so that this isn't the only one of this character that we'll ever get for our collection. So there you have it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll Funko Pop vinyl figures and whether you'll be adding these ones to your collection. Thank you so much for watching. Do check out our other videos for more Star Wars unboxings and adventures. Catch you in the next one, and as always, may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.